Hi, it's Talia Stewart, and you're listening to WRSU FM, New Brunswick.
What I've done, I loved our lies. Don't have shit to do with you. Play yourself, gon' shoot your shot. Woman, you can't wait till you stop hoping that I know.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Teubner. I'm the music director here at WRSU FM, and I'm here with the one, the only Talia Stewart. Woo! Crowd goes wild. So if you just want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll get started.
Amazing. Yes, my name is Talia Stewart. I am a dark pop artist in Nashville, Tennessee, and thank you for having me today. I'm stoked to be here.
So excited to have you. So let's get started. You just released Murder, She Wrote, your latest EP, and it's centralized around this one theme of murder, but it's obvious that there are so many underlying meanings. So can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the EP?
Definitely, yes. So it's basically, I went through this breakup about 2 years ago or so, and it was just one of those like horrific blindside breakups that I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I'd ever felt that deeply before, and it really inspired most of the feeling behind both of the songs. And I wanted to set it within a murder because being a dark pop artist, I think my content is usually more metaphorical and kind of like cryptic and set within like a different kind of world than being more like singer-songwriter, in my approach. So I set it within a murder, and the video shows that and whatnot. But I think writing it that way also helped me a little bit like dissociate from the whole thing a little bit. in whether in a healthy or unhealthy way, either way. But I mean, I just kind of felt a little more grounded in a weird way, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. And you were saying like so being like a dark pop artist, it's a little different than like your average singer-songwriter, but your vocal style has a lot of like really intense jazz influence from what I've seen. And it really works under that like dark pop setting. So like, and it's also shifted so much since you like started releasing music. So do you see like your music and your vocal style shifting even more as you continue putting out more music?
Definitely. I think like when I began, I was still totally trying to get my bearings, but I think having I was taught by jazz vocalists. I have a very like jazz influenced vocal, but I think entering the music world, I went pretty pop, right off the bat. Still dark, but like not as dark as I am now. And as I'm continuing to get more comfortable, I think I'm getting a little bit darker. My next project is certainly probably the darkest I'll go in terms of sound. And then I think after that, I'm looking to do more jazzy stuff, like more SZA soundscape vibes I'm feeling, but we'll get there when we get there. But I think I agree. I think it's been a process.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more music as it's coming out. That's so exciting.
Yes.
And then in the EP, you feature the bonus track La Mas Mala, the Spanish version of This Killing Floor. And from what I have seen so far, you have like Spanish heritage. And how has that really like shaped you as an artist and how you've been brought? Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like my mom is Spanish Italian Catholic, and that is pretty apparent in my art overall. I think it's always like Catholicism has been very much a theme. And I've always experimented with inserting Spanish lyrics in all of my projects, but I had never done like a fully Spanish song. I had a few collaborations that I did some Spanish stuff on, but this has been the first fully Spanish song. And I think as someone like I grew up speaking it, so I didn't really I call myself like an intermediate speaker, but I think I've been like kind of hesitant to dive fully into that because it is its own world. But I think as more Spanish artists kind of take the main stage, it's become a little bit more of a thing to have both Spanish and English in your catalog when you're an artist who has Spanish heritage.
Yeah, it's definitely getting a lot more of a global recognition in the past couple of years, like multi-language music. And you've also like been such an advocate for so many different groups of people and for social equality. And that's also been so great from what I've seen. So props.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely at the forefront of what I believe in, really, and therefore my brand as well. But I think always working with people who come from different backgrounds and who are diverse in their nature, and it's just important, I think.
Yeah, I see your like squad and your Instagram post, your like team that you work with, and everyone just, it's so refreshing that no one looks alike. It's everyone comes from different backgrounds, and that's
Yeah,
just so great. Yeah.
definitely. It's refreshing. And I think when I moved here to Nashville, at first I was like, what? Like it was because I came from California. I grew up in Southern
Mhm.
California and it's very diverse down there. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, but you find your tribe
Yeah,
wherever you land, you know. So
really do. So let's talk a little bit about the music video for this Killing Floor that just came out.
Kiss your lips and tape your mouth, cash you in and sell you out. Don't you tell me I ain't sorry. Ain't coming, what he got.
You were like a big part of directing it and creating the whole idea behind it. Can you tell me about like the process of being like in the forefront of the music video, but also being the one like creating the ideas behind it?
so yeah, so up until this Killing Floor, I had directed everything I'd ever done. And I think this Killing Floor was like a turning point for me because we finally worked with like a film crew that had a cinema camera and, you know, this amazing female director, Rachel Deeb, who was looking to do more experimental stuff. Like she works with Maren Morris and Kelsey Ballerini and like just a bunch of country artists, which are all amazing, but had been wanting to like toe dip in the pop sphere. And so when I came to her, I was like, I know this is gonna be like really kind of graphic, and I don't think we're gonna be able to run ads on it. But do you want to shoot this? And she was like, absolutely. So that was really fun. And that video, we had an idea for a different video that fell through, and then that like came through immediately in reverse. And I like thought of it. I was like, oh my god, what if I like killed myself? and like and then you don't know how, and then I like rewind everything. But if I had my way, I would have done a part two where it would have continued to move backwards and you would have like seen me fighting with myself, or like, you know
Wow.
what I mean? But it wasn't in the budget.
Yeah, maybe in the future.
Yeah.
But I remember like the first time watching it at work, I was like, oh my gosh, like it took me like a second to really understand what was going on. And then I like had to
Mm-hmm.
watch it a couple more times. I was like, oh my gosh, and then this part like relates to this. And like you can see it's so cool. And so like do you think that I know that you're like so into like your style and like the visual aspects of being a musician and a performer? Do you think that that affects the creative process? Like when you're writing music and when you're producing it, do you like get the ideas as you're doing it? Like is it all intertwined or is it like a step by step kind of process?
I mean, as of late, I've actually just like adopted the saying that I view myself as more of a visual artist than a musician sometimes, because I will literally get this wasn't the case for this Killing Floor, but a lot of songs recently I've like thought of a video before I think of a song, and then I'll write a song to the video, which I I don't know. Sometimes that, and I mean, there's pros and cons, but I think a lot of artists, especially in Nashville, are very, it's very like write based and writing with people, which I have been trying to get kind of more immersed in. But I definitely am more on the visual side of things. And I think like there's not one song of mine that I don't have a music video in my head for, like all of them have music videos. It's just a matter of which ones we're going to be able to do.
Hmm. Yeah, and everyone has their own process, and you're
Yeah.
probably like a visual learner. And I think
Oh
that
yeah.
reflects in the music too, because when you're even listening to it without the video, like you can see the vision and you can see what's going on. So
Yeah.
I know there's pros and cons, but it still works so well. And that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of like the visualness of your artistry, like you have such a cool, like badass, unique style.
Thank
Like when it comes
you.
to the outfits and the makeup, nails and the hair. I know that you have been doing your own nails recently.
Yes.
Um, so can you tell me about like how you've like developed your own style and like what is behind like the way you present yourself?
Yeah, I guess as a kid I always had ratty hair, like big ratty hair, and I think um at the beginning of really like branding myself as an artist, I always was like I need to have big hair. I performed a lot. I think that was probably my introduction. I was always performing. And I always wanted my hair to be like in pictures, like all crazy and stuff. And so I think like hair wise, I always want some kind of a look going on. Nails, probably in the last like 3 years, nails became a thing where I would literally, I just was spending too much money on nails. Like I would drop like $100 on a set for my hands, and then or like I would have a music video where I would want multiple sets, and I'm like, how do I do this? So I started just doing them myself, which has been such a I like don't have nails right now, and I'm like, oh my god, don't look at me. When you don't have them, I'm just like, oh man, I feel powerless. But I think it's been a really good, like, developing my image as an artist has been very it's just been a process. Like, I very much trial and error. I look back at some of my looks and I'm like, but everyone does.
Yeah.
So I think just giving myself time, and it's been a big like patience practicer, especially learning how to do nail art and everything. I was not ready for how long of a process really like curating a look is. And I think getting a creative director was probably a huge step for me, because I always thought like I know what I want to look like, I can do everything myself. And then Bernie came into the picture and was like, okay, let's do that, but in this way. And I'm like, oh, I wish I thought of that. you
Yeah.
know?
It's
So,
having that team behind you is probably so important. Yeah.
oh
And
yeah.
you were saying how you like grew up performing a lot, like a lot of live performances. And I originally, like when I first started listening to you, I was only listening to studio stuff, but I've been tuning into like your live streams and like seeing your live performances that you've been doing with other brands lately. And it's so like prevalent that you are such a performer. So like are you planning on touring as the world is starting to open back up? Are you planning to do some live stuff?
Definitely. I think it's almost like not being able to play live has been so it's almost like I try not to even think about it, because having not being able to do that, I realized how much a part of me that was. I performed a ton in Nashville, and like I went on my first tour 2 years ago, and that was awesome. I did like 3 runs, I think, in the Southeast, and I like the Carolinas and whatnot, but I've never been up north. I've never been to New York. There's so many places I haven't been. I'm like, I can't even believe it. I would love to tour. I think it's just a matter of time. But I do have a whole new band now. So like since I last played, I've actually gone through 2 bands.
Wow.
So but now I'm like, I've got the recipe. I think that I have the right players for me. So I'm really excited to play.
That's exciting. Do you have like a dream venue that you perform at?
It's not technically a venue, but my dream performance, like place to perform at, is SNL.
Oh my gosh. I can see you
Literally
with your
not.
like Phoebe Bridgers
Oh
moment,
yeah.
like smashing the
Smashing my guitar that I
guitar.
can't play because I have like too long of nails. They're like, who is this woman? No, I would love that. It would be a dream to play. It would be like an Uber dream to perform and play because I have a background like in improv comedy. I was in a troupe in high school for a while, an improv comedy, like a traveling troupe. And so I love like comedy skits and all sorts of stuff. So
Oh my,
I would love to like star in one day.
I see it. It's coming. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that would be so cool. You have to come to New York. It's
Oh
like,
my gosh, seriously.
yeah,
Yeah, because I bet you went up there a lot. Did you grow up in Jersey?
I grew up in Monmouth County on the Jersey Shore, and I live like a half-hour train ride from New York right now at school. So it's like when people say the city, like that's New York for me. But I'm sure like you grew up in California, right? So like I've never
Mhm.
been to the West Coast. That's like my dream.
Yeah, yeah,
Everyone
yeah. We
wants what
grew
they
up
can't,
in
what they
Disney
haven't done
somewhere.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's like New York. I can't. I can imagine it, but I think being there is such a different reality when you're like in the midst of it. I feel
Yeah.
like I would just be like,
It's got some magic to it. It
I
like
know.
never gets old. Yeah, I can't wait until you go for the first time. You're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm so
Um,
excited.
so yeah, I guess my last question is like, what is next for Talia Stewart? Like, what can fans be on the lookout for with you?
I guess the next thing will be me rolling out this next project, which I'm just like so many emotions going into it. I think um, promoting this project has been tough because of the nature of the content. And so the next one is it's like graphic in a different way. It's graphic, not about death or murder, but
Mhm.
just about like addiction struggles, mainly, like predominantly, and
Mhm.
everything that comes with that, love and loss and all of that. So I think releasing that, rolling that out will be a pretty long process. It's like a 14 song album. So I know, and it's very, very, very conceptual. Every single song is like a substance, and
Ooh,
it should be like they sound like it, they look like it. So it should be like a very immersive experience. But yeah.
that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Ah, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that as time goes on. And this has been so wonderful. Thank you so much for chatting with
Of
me.
course. Thank you.